Hey guys, Dan Frigolette, Sexy People Podcast. We've run into some flag issues in the last couple weeks with our YouTube content. So we've been moving some of that content over to Dan Frigolette YouTube. The Sexy People Podcast YouTube is in peril as we've been putting links in there that have now become illegal in the minds of YouTube. Check us out back over at youtube.com/Dan Frigolette, and we'll keep putting the full episodes there. Stay tuned right now for the part 1 of Lexi Luna on the Sexy People Podcast. Sexy People Podcast. I'm Dan Frigolette. I'm here with Lexi Luna. Thank you for being my first, well, that's not even true. I was going to say my first in-person interview after the pandemic, but that's not true. This is just the closest I've been to a human being
Since the pandemic.
After the pandemic. So thank you for being here.
Of course. I love hanging out with you.
You were like one of my first major interviews in this thing. It's been like 3 years.
It's been way more than 3 years.
It's been a year and a half.
It's been like 5 years.
It's been 1 year, and you've done fantastic. We're not old. I'm not old. It's not
I'm
5
not
years.
saying you're old, but look at us. Like, look at your leg right now on
Right?
the couch.
So I'm trying to like embrace. So I got fat. That's what happened. The people know theoretically that I've gotten ill and fat, but so
ill and fat.
Ill and fat. I'm unwell.
I'm unwell.
And so I have calves. I still have calves.
Oh,
so I'm wearing calf pants.
Look at these calves.
These are my calf
Look at
pants.
these.
Right? And so these are, and then I've been wearing, what do they call them? They call them Hoochie Daddy shorts.
What are Hoochie Daddy?
Hoochie Daddy shorts are like 3 to 5 inch inseam shorts. They're usually cotton, so you can show a lot of bulge.
Do not show. Don't. No.
That's what I'm doing.
Stop that.
That's what I'm doing.
Stop it.
Why?
Nobody needs to see bulge, first of all, unless they want to see bulge.
That's
like
right.
an at-home thing. It's an at-home thing.
No, I was in Florida. I had to wear the Hoochie Daddy shorts.
That's different.
Oh!
Okay, if you're in Florida, yeah, anything goes down there. But also, it's so fucking hot that I do not blame you.
That's true.
I've lived in Florida twice now, in 2 different areas, and it is just fucking hot.
And where are you?
Are we allowed to cuss on this? I'm sorry.
No, absolutely not. We're talking about pornography. You can please cuss.
I just want to make sure so you don't get like booted off of YouTube.
I already did. That's why we had to change the name of the podcast.
That's why we changed the name.
You said cuss. That's like the cutest shit I've ever heard.
Cuss, yeah.
Can we cuss here?
Can we cuss
it's
here?
It's so like 1994.
Well, yeah, I'm a
Is it okay to cuss?
90s person.
Are you a 90s person?
I was born in 89. I'm 33, you know,
You give your full stats out?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
That's great.
I'm a MILF, honey.
So we are in a weird place, right? So like I was telling you guys, one of the reasons I started this podcast was that I met a person trying to exit porn right when I got to New York, and they were having the worst time.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a Mia Khalifa, there wasn't a Lisa Ann, there wasn't these people that like used their fame to then inform a new career.
Right.
So she was trying to like work in accounting at like Macy's, and they were like, nope, you can't do it.
No, you can't do that.
And so she just wanted to get out of her own shadow. So, what do you feel about? I don't want to retire you. Well, what do you feel about like after career stuff? Or are you gonna be able to do this? Are we at a place where you can actually like fuck until you die on camera? Are we there?
Oh my God, I don't think I want to do that. I will perform as long as the fans want to see me perform. That's always been my like thing. Is that I'll do this as long as people aren't like, God, she's old. Well, maybe she should stop fucking for a living.
How dare she?
How dare she show her saggy titties?
I don't know how to say this without sounding completely pervy. Mm-hmm. I'm missing the people that were my age that have left. Mm-hmm. So the people that were my age did this thing. 39. They did this thing. Depending, unless like MTV's watching it, then I'm 27. So they did this thing.
Because they'll never hire you in your 30s.
No, this is where I was. Literally, I had to take my age back a couple of years because I was auditioning for stuff for MTV, and I was like 32, and they were like, "Listen, this is a network of 20s," and I was like, "Fuck you." D. Ray Davis is 52 years old, right? And they're like, "He's black. It's different." Like, listen. So what I was saying was, all the people that are 39. I'm gonna name names.
Do it.
Okay, so I'll mention my friends. So like people like Alexis Fox, right?
Of course.
She's stayed in the business.
She
stayed in the business, and as a result, she's like legacy, like veteran, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and that's the first class of person, my age group, that stayed past this mark.
Oh wow.
Katie Morgan, whatever.
Yeah.
All the people before that, like right when they got to that mark, they were like 35, and they were like, we should leave.
We should do something else.
They're trying to cram them into MILF, and then they were like, we have to just go start a family in Arizona and like change our name. So like, there's all these vacant accounts, like Sheena Shaw and Rachel Rocks, and all these people that are making money with OnlyFans that are not.
Right.
And I still would love to see them. I would love to see all the people that are my age. I'll be happy to watch Alexis Fox into her 60s, because I'll be 60. I'll still be your fan.
Okay, so I saw this meme the other day, and it had a picture of a young guy watching MILF porn and an older guy watching MILF porn, and it said, the first one said, watching MILF porn because it's a fetish, and the second one said, watching MILF porn because it's age appropriate.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm at that age. I'm at the age where I'm 39, so I can date someone my age, their mother or their daughter. Like, I'm in that sweet spot.
Yeah,
but so I really do. I would really like to have access to, like, it's weird if you're 20, you're looking for 80-year-old porn. But if you're 80, you want 80-year-old porn?
Yeah.
Or maybe, what's the cutoff, do you think?
I don't know. This is such a
what's the female cutoff?
Interesting talking point here.
I don't know how we got here.
I don't. I think you took us here because you're feeling some certain way about your age.
I stopped working. It's over for me.
Fuck me. Let me sit up so we can see something.
So, I don't know. There's got to be an age. There's got to be an age where it's like, that's fine. Because everything is arbitrary. Right? 18, being able to have sex 16, 17, 18, that's arbitrary.
Well, we don't talk about that until we're 18.
State by state. And then, so then what's the cutoff? What's the cutoff where you can't have sex that we know about anymore? Let's make it right now.
You know, I don't think there is one, because there are people like Nina Hartley who are still...
How old's Nina Hartley? 60s.
60s.
Yeah.
You know, she's still killing it.
Right.
Ciala D'Angelo, also killing it.
Okay.
You know, but, you know, I don't think that we've done porn in a way that there is an age cutoff yet, because Nina Hartley's not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, I think Nina Hartley and Ciala D'Angelo will lead the way.
And it really comes down to the fact that, like, now that you're in touch with your fans, and there's not other people between you and them, you can decide on your own what the hell to do next. But there was pressure. There was definitely pressure, evidenced by the woman that I met, and then all of my favorite porn people leaving.
Yeah.
That, like, you get to, like, you're like 35 and you're like, I gotta go away.
Well, I think that's also like your biological clock ticking.
Maybe.
And, you know, just the human part of us, because porn stars are people, too.
Yes. Sexy. And they're also sexy people.
So I think it just depends on what your personal goals are. And my personal goals are to be in this industry as long as I can on any end of the industry, whether it's behind the camera, in front of the camera, on OnlyFans. You know, who knows what's going to come after OnlyFans, because there will be something after this.
Yeah. We should work on it.
Yeah.
Get that money. Well, so what we need to do, and this is something that I was involved in New Hampshire, was they're trying to decriminalize aspects of sex work.
Mm-hmm.
That will lead the way for things like OnlyFans not trying to overnight
deplatform us.
Right. Yeah. They're like, oh, we need funding.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get rid of all the porn
We gotta
stars.
change what we're doing.
And then they're like, oh, we're sorry, we're
My
cycling back on this because we had a lot of kickback. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they lost probably multi-million dollars in a weekend.
Right. There were a lot of people who spoke out, and I think that they really saw the creator community and were like, okay, we see you, and we should not do this to you.
I like that
and
perspective.
I appreciate that, OnlyFans. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna say that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm much more pessimistic about everything.
I know. That's why you're a comedian.
It's true. It's true. It's like we see the darkness of the world, and we're like, no, that's what I love.
Yeah.
I love.
And we need comedians in our lives, because I don't want to be in that dark, deep place. But
I'll
let you be in there.
We'll go there. So like, there's videos that I can't release of me and a buddy. We're in a car. We're doing a podcast. It's comedian. That's why I had to stop doing comedian podcasts. It's because we just talked about suicide for like 4 hours.
Right. Yeah. We don't want to.
No one wants to watch that.
Nobody wants that.
Like after 20 minutes, the people are like, this is 19 minutes too long. What was I gonna ask you? I wanted to ask you a thing, and I don't remember what it is because I'm easily distracted.
Maybe polyamory was the topic.
Okay, I like that. So I read an article in the New York Times that upset me. There was a person who was a single person, and they were like, so I had because of the podcast, people try and call me when stuff comes out in mainstream media. And like, so this girl was trying to date me, and she was like, hey, I saw this article. Is this what it is? And I was like, not really. It was just like a girl who wrote an article about being single, and she's on partner, she's single, she's fucking everybody, and good for her. But I didn't think that was poly. So I have trouble as a cis male, like binary piece of shit, understanding new aspects of the world. So
What is it to be poly and unpartnered? How does that work? Is it the lifestyle? What's the thing that makes you poly if you're not involved in
a relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just the ability and the openness to want to have a relationship with multiple people, and it's more than just a relationship. It's an emotional relationship where maybe you're in love with this person or maybe you're not, and that's okay. And there's no judgment about the love piece, but it's the emotional investment in wanting that person to do well and wanting to make the relationship better, but also accepting that you and or that other person will have other partners and that you might love those partners too.
How do you explain to somebody that you love them and another person at the same time? This seems to be a concept people can't handle.
It is. It's tricky because you really don't know it until you feel it, and that's the shittiest answer. But when you love somebody and then when you find somebody else that you're like, oh, I feel like I'm cheating on this person because I also have strong emotional feelings for this other person, if you haven't communicated that and if that isn't your definition of cheating in that relationship, then I can kind of understand how that emotion would really take the better of you. But at the same time, if you communicate your needs and your desires effectively with the partners that you currently have, that's where the polyamory part comes in. Because if that other partner is okay with you also loving somebody else, and to me, it's one of those things where it's kind of crazy to expect one person to be everything for you in a relationship.
And that's the poly hinge.
Yes, that's the hinge.
Is that you have to. Part of this whole thing is accepting somebody for who they are. And not getting mad about their flaws and not trying to change them.
Exactly.
And so if there's a piece of you that doesn't line up with a piece of another person, then Polly says, well, then go find the thing that will enrich this piece that you're missing.
Right, but doing it ethically and, morally and
honestly.
Honest non-monogamy is much better than, it's like being the ethical slut. There's
dudes love to just, and I've met women in my periods of dating toxically who want to be poly but don't want it to be open. They want you to be locked down and they want to go do the thing. So they're just cheating, and then enriches the other thing.
So that's different. And there's just so many different types of relationships when it comes to that kind of thing. I'm sorry, I'm putting my hand right here, but we're so awkwardly next to each other.
Here's my
tiny
question.
Little couch.
Yeah, this is a porn couch for sure.
This is This
is such like
not quite the casting couch.
It's like an audition couch, yeah. Because I shouldn't be in the shot if it's the casting couch.
Yeah, you'd be over there behind the camera.
And then just be like my feet and my butt or whatever. And so, is there a finite amount of love? I guess that's the thing. That's the question when it comes to loving other people.
I think humans have an undefined part of love. It's you what you really have is a defined amount of time. You can't give enough time to two partners as you can to one partner. But if one partner is fulfilling all your needs except maybe a sexual need, then you find that sexual need with somebody else. But being open and honest is what keeps it polyamorous and what keeps it open. And if you fall in love with that person because of the sexual need that they're giving, that's not disingenuous and that's not cheating. But as long as the lines of communication are open, think about it as if you have a new puppy and an older puppy. The older puppy, you loved him, you gave him such a good life, and now you have a new puppy who's coming into the relationship. You don't have enough time for the old puppy, but you're splitting the amount of time that you have between the two. So neither one is getting your full attention, but the puppies also have each other.
I like the analogy because what it comes down to is like, my dog's potty trained, but now I got to spend all this time making this other dog understand what the expectations are. And so that puppy, more than I need, that puppy needs my help to figure out how to be a part of this thing or how to be a part of this family. But then this is the hard part. How does old puppy not get jealous?
Yeah, jealousy is a really tricky part. And jealousy is something that makes us human, and we feel these emotions, and those emotions are very valid. And if you feel jealous, then that is how you feel, and it's very real to you. But if the other partner is like, well, you shouldn't be jealous because I love you, that's not enough, right? And it takes a lot of communication. Having the open lines of communication and being willing to accept what your partner is telling you is really important.
Right.
Because if you say, well, you shouldn't be jealous because I love you too, that might not be enough to satiate that person and to say, okay, well, but what about when you don't love me?
Right.
And it's one of those things that's really hard to put in words, but opening the lines of communication between your partners is what's going to make the relationship successful. Any relationship, not just a polyamorous one.
Because I'm stuck, so I might not. I might could. Mike could. A Texas thing.
Mike
like
could.
It. Mike could. I might could be in a relationship that's poly open. I have no problem with that, but I feel like it'd be harder. It's harder for me to find a partner that's in that space, especially now, or especially because I'm not communicating in the best way. But I would like my monogamous partner to still not feel jealous. So I want the aspects of poly and the understanding, because what happens is when you have a monogamous person who's jealous, then everything is up for grabs. They're like, why'd that bagel lady give you more cream cheese? Like, you can't go to that bitch anymore. And it's just like,
Did you flirt with her when I wasn't around?
Yeah.
Did you cheat on me by flirting with the bagel lady?
Why did the bagel lady why does she know your order?
I know, right. Like, because I'm here 5 times a week.
Right. And so that's a thing that I've had trouble with. Right now, this conversation makes it clear that we're both in therapy. Because it's like, you're valid. Everything
your feelings are valid,
what you're saying
and
is true.
It's going to be okay. You don't love the old puppy any less. You just have less time for the old puppy.
Yeah.
And it's really just a matter of all 3 partners have to talk.
Right.
It's not just a one-on-one and a one-on-2.
Yeah.
It's a one-on-one too. You're talking to everybody at the same time. It's important to keep the lines of communication open with all the partners, because polyamory is loving multiple people. So if you're loving all the people in the relationship, all those people have to communicate together.
Do you need your partners? Who's the center focus on the thing? Because you need your partners to then be in love with your other partners?
If it's polyamory, and that is how, and I don't feel like you go into polyamory saying, I'm going to love both of my partners, because that's not something that you just decide right away. It's something that develops over time.
Right.
So I think it's one of those things that, relationships change as we get older and as we grow and as we change within the relationship, and it may or may not be something you start out with, but it could be something you evolve into. And it's okay to change relationships over time. It doesn't.
We have to.
We have to.
Yeah.
It's not human to be the same for the rest of your life.
It's gross.
I don't know if I'd say gross.
I'm a comedian. I say horrible things.
You're the worst.
Here's a question.
Why am I here?
Here's a question.
Just kidding.
Please don't leave. Here's a question. Here's a slutty question. How many people have you been in love with at the same time?
Oh, that's tough. Oh, look at him adjusting, getting ready for this answer like you're like a kid in camp, like, what you gonna say? So before I was in the industry, I had 2 partners. One was long distance and one was local. Everybody knew. Complete line of communication was open. Everybody knew when the play happened, what kind of play, like that kind of stuff. It wasn't like play by play, but it was also very honest.
Yeah.
I was in the kink community and the kink lifestyle. I really enjoyed that, and that is kind of where I felt like I found the most open people.
Yeah.
And when
it's a Florida thing, right? That's where yours. No.
Yeah, I mean, one partner was in Florida, one partner was in Chicago, so it was very different.
Okay. Because every time I'm in Florida, there was like, there's a kink community here.
Yeah.
And then they don't tell me more things. So like, it's over there. Just go over there if you want.
It's over there in this one warehouse.
It's over there. Go over there.
So when I had this relationship, I got a certain amount of attention and affection from both people.
Yeah.
And where one person's affection may have been a little bit less because it was long distance and it was, trying to schedule the time to have conversations and all that, work gets in the way, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
The other person was there to kind of support me and fulfill me, but it wasn't like they were taking the place of that other partner.
Right.
They were supporting me and being my partner and my lover during that time.
That's a good way to understand it too, because when you're long distance, if you miss a phone call, and you miss the window, it's like the worst shit.
It is, yeah.
And it leads to sometimes some lonely type things that you wouldn't otherwise get into. Now you get into because you're lonely because you missed the window.
Right, and you're like, damn it! I
guess get out of the thing, and you're already in bed, and it's like, well, now I don't get to talk to a person. But then the flip side is if you do have somebody, there's another support system, and you're not doing things that are outside of the relationship, then when you do get that phone call in the window, it's like the most exciting shit.
It is, yeah.
And
the endorphins are high, and it's exciting.
Yeah.
But it's also important to communicate another way. Like, the phone call is important, but it's also the texting and the video chatting and sending sexy videos. Like, there's so many different ways to communicate, and I think with, lately, in the last 10 years, I would say, it's been much more accepted to send sexy videos and to sext and to do all these other types of communication that are also really important because when you have that phone call, it's a phone call interaction, but it might just be like catching up on the week because you haven't gotten to talk about that.
Right.
And then where do you have the sexy time with that person?
That actually is difficult because you're like, you're like complaining about, for me, my landlord.
Right, you're complaining about all the things that happen in life and work and all that kind of stuff.
My families, and like now I just realized I'm in therapy, they're like, I have a horrible relationship with my parents, and then I'm like, but also send me your pussy, please.
Right.
It is.
And it's a lot to have in 1 hour conversation.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm having such a struggle talking about my family, but also I need to see your feet and your asshole. And I love those freckles. Like, that's part of it.
Yeah. It is weird. And then the texting, the stuff you're talking about, the texting and video and all the long distance, the technological sex stuff.
Sex.
You have to have chemistry there too, because like I'll be with somebody who like doesn't want to send me masturbation videos, and I'm like,
right, because not everybody's so comfortable with seeing themselves on camera.
And I'm like, but I need it from you, and so that chemistry has become something recently that's now in play, because you have the best sex, and then they don't want to send you pictures, and you're like, well, I don't understand.
But you got to think though. Also, there's a lot of stigma around sending that kind of stuff because that stuff gets leaked, and maybe that person's really worried about potential leaking of that information.
I used to do the thing where it's like pay for your porn. I should start doing this thing now. Guys are awful. Can we stop being awful? Can we decide together to stop being awful? Like there's so many people that are like, if I send you this, can you not show it to anybody?
I was like, I would never. Even deeper into this couch with every.
That'd be great if just by the end we're just wearing the couch.
We're just in the couch, and we're just like down here on the video. We're just like, it's been great talking to you guys.
I have horrible postures.
Let me just adjust a little bit.
So
I'm gonna cut this out of the video too.
Well, I'm not. I don't edit. I don't have time for that.
I'll edit for you.
Okay, great. That is what I need. I do. The people on your side of the industry, I really do need to. We do need to team up and like. Because people are editing, people are doing things, and that's stuff that I need to figure out how to build. One of the things I thought I could cheat by doing this podcast is like, it's more people have a shit ton of followers. I'll just get their followers.
And just piggyback off.
And it's like I really didn't understand.
No.
That like I'm never gonna take.
Because my followers are still mine. They're just gonna come watch our thing.
Right. I'm never gonna take whoever's. Let's use yours. Because what you're doing, that's what, and it's gotten even tighter recently because of TikTok and all the things. It's like when TikTok first came out, it was like, all I do is videos where I throw eggs at my wall. And then that's it. And then if you did a different video, they're like what the fuck is this?
What is this?
Yeah. So for a long time, comedians were trying to do threes. So we would do, this is 3 of like doing comedy, and this is 3 of like me at home cooking, and here's 3 of my puppy. And then eventually like TikTok really made it so it's just like, no, just put stand-up videos up. That's the whole page. If you want to do something else, make another page.
Yeah.
Which made it strange. But it makes me understand the whole thing more. Right? Like, what's the kryptonite post that you could put up that where like you're not going to get the same likes?
Anything without a photo or a video.
Yeah.
Like if I'm just like having a great time in the city, people are like.
Fuck off.
But if I post a picture of like, look at all this lingerie I bought in the city, they're like, can't wait to see you take it off.
What is so girls who have specific features, same thing, like that specific feature will get all the likes, and then they'll be like, here's my belly, and we're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
What's your best one? What's your best feature on the internet?
Honestly, I hate to say this because it's gonna sound so cliche, but people love my smile.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say something different.
People love my smile.
Okay.
I mean, they love the titties too, and maybe it's because the titties and the smile are often together.
We're in the weirdest period of porn where we know more about our porn stars than we ever have.
Yeah.
And even when I started this podcast, that wasn't as true.
Yeah, that's absolutely
and
true.
people were like cut off, and they're like, oh, my name, and I was doing, I'm talking about things,
Yeah,
and I'm talking about where I'm at. We're at that place where because of and OnlyFans, Twitter, and all the things like.
OnlyFans has really made it so that we are accessible and we can have relationships with our fans
and now I know enough about my person that like what they're doing and what they shouldn't do, right? So before it was like you do mainstream and you just do whatever the scene is.
Yeah.
Pizza guy, whatever the cliche ones, and then you don't know anything about that person. And so what I was doing with porn, I don't know if I ever told you this, I was like putting my own shit on the porn star, and like in my head I think I was like making her my girlfriend or whoever I needed.
Yeah.
And so then I started meeting porn stars, and I was like, oh, it's completely different than whatever I did there. And so I got weirded out about my own shit. Of like, why, like, and is it creepy now to like meet somebody and still be their fan, and then jerk off to the person that they really are. That seems creepier to me.
No, I think that's more genuine.
I know, that's why you're here. But that was my shit.
Guess, yeah, that's your old baggage.
Because I was like I'd be like, whatever was going wrong in my life, like in a relationship or whatever, what I needed sexually, I would just find that on the porn thing, and it would. And
porn's great for that.
Absolutely.
But then when you meet that person in person, then it's like, oh, you're not the thing I
act.
It's a performance.
But not even as much as that, as I was doing an extra step where I was just putting my own stuff in there. So like the performance is one step, but then there's the other step where it's like, oh, you look like the girl who broke up with me.
Oh yeah, no, don't do that.
Right.
No,
so that's the shit I was doing with porn. That was my relationship with porn that was odd.
Yeah, 100%.
And now
I would say you're not alone in that.
For sure.
You know, hundreds of people.
But now we can jerk off to the person that they really are. We can jerk off to their hearts.
And that's kind of a whole different connection. Right?
And it really is, and that's what drives, I think, a lot of those sales too.
For sure, yeah. Being able to communicate with somebody, and even, I did over 1,000 custom videos for my fans last year, and getting to fulfill their fantasy.
So
and
3 a day?
Something like that.
Yeah. How do you set that up? Because this is the thing that I found destructive during this period of time when the pandemic went in. Everybody just thinks that they can sell foot pics and that they're gonna make rent, and I'm like, and I get mad, and I'm like, do you have any idea how much of a full-time job this is?
Such a full-time job.
You can't just throw up 3 foot
pictures. My foot right now is just in this fucking couch. It's just so bad.
Sell that picture. But
yes. Help my foot come out of prison.
Yeah.
That would be the caption.
So what is your...
Readjust for the 70th time.
What is your... Can we somehow make this couch more comfortable?
No, it's just that I think this part is broken in here.
OnComfyCouch.com. That could be a whole thing. And it's just you trying to sit on the couch.
The entire time just adjusting, being awkward.
Fed it up. What's your real schedule that it takes to be successful in OnlyFans? Tell people the real thing.
So I'm online responding to messages and taking custom orders and, uploading my feed and those types of maintenance things. Probably, it's definitely 7 days a week, but I try to keep some kind of hours because I'm not always available. I sleep too, and if the OnlyFans girl you're talking to seems like she doesn't sleep, it's not her.
You're right.
She's not real.
I don't want to blow this up, but they're responders. Yeah.
Yeah, and most people know that and they're aware of that, and Reddit has made it very, very known that that's what it is. Yeah.
That there's just a person ready to go.
Yeah, and that's disingenuous to me. I like to connect with my fans on a real level. So for me, I like to just keep, whenever I wake up my OnlyFans, and then I talk about all of that and respond to messages overnight, and because people are in different time zones, and I understand that. There are some people I'll never be able to talk to online. Yes,
just like somebody might poop at a certain time. I get horny at a certain time of night.
And some people you'll just never be able to have a live conversation with because they're just 7 hours ahead of you, and it's a different time zone. So I work from 7 or 8 until 10.
Yeah, so you're working 14 hours a day.
And it's not like I'm sitting at the computer responding for 14 hours. It's not, there are breaks within that. Take time.
Sure.
And same thing with other platforms like Sex Panther
But it's so much work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a real profession. It's
absolutely more than a real profession. I feel like we put in more hours because then I'm also on set, and the times that I'm on set, then I'm on set and I'm doing double duty on OnlyFans, trying to talk to everybody and be like, hey guys, I'm on set, sending out sexy pictures from set.
Is anybody doing that video? I like that video where it's so it's behind the scenes, but it's also you're doing a scene and you get a break, and then somebody just hands you a cell phone, and then you got to text your fans. Yeah. And then they hand you another cell phone. And then you take a picture of your pussy. And then they hand you a different cell phone. And then you're sending an underarm phone. Right. I want to see that content. Because that makes me...
I think that would be a lot of fun. Because that's the true reality of it. Because I have 2 phones. One for Sex Panther because I get so many texts a day that it would be unmanageable if I got them into my real phone.
Right.
And then my real phone, I'll take all the sexy pictures on, and then their iPhone, so I can just airdrop them to each other and send out the photos to my fans, which is awesome. But it's a lot of fucking work, and so when I do take 2 weeks off, it's I kind of fall off the map, and I fall, everything falls off because if I'm not doing it, nobody else is doing it.
But you can but there's time posts now, right? So you can even do that.
Sure, yeah, but and that's Yes, to a certain point, but then I come home after 2 weeks and there are 1,000 messages on OnlyFans because I haven't actually talked to anybody for 2 weeks.
Right.
So it's tricky in that regard, but I feel like the management of it, I also don't feel like I have so many fans that I have to have somebody else doing it.
Do you have like a number? How does this work? For people that
For
really...
Sex Panther?
No, like for people that are like really successful at the entertainment in general, like I was hanging out with a buddy who's like super like pertinent in like South Africa, and we were just talking, and I was like, yeah, because you have 112. I go, because you have 100,000 followers. He goes, 112. And he's like, what?
112, but NBD.
112. So like, and he knows how many people like live in each of the countries that he's like putting content out in. Are you like down to that thing where you know how many people are actively giving you support in the way of funds in any given month? Like,
not really. I don't really look at it like that because if I'm chatting with you on a platform, it's a pay-to-play chat platform. So Sex Panther, OnlyFans, Loyal Fans, those types of places, that's where I spend most of my time because it's, that's where I make the most of my money. But it's also the place where the fans value me the most because they understand that it's pay-to-play and they're willing to do that because they just want to support me and they love me and they are excited to see my new content.
Sure.
So, like, Twitter DMs aren't it. Instagram, if I'm DMing you on Instagram, it ain't me. Sorry to burst your bubble.
Yeah.
But my only Instagram is Beyond Expectations.
Yeah, you've had a problem with the Instagram thing.
I have. I'm on my 5th one.
Yeah.
I'm not alone in that.
Many
performers have had way worse than me. I've honestly just stopped posting on Instagram, which is why I still keep my account.
Right. Well, so here's
That's fucked up.
Here's what I've seen since we're doing this thing. What do we say? 5 years, whatever it is. First, it was if you're like under a certain number of followers and you do something, you're like the first to go. Then they started. The people were hacking accounts. That was like a phase.
That's a big thing. Yeah, hacking was a big thing.
Then it became you could have 1 million followers, and you're like the reason why Instagram exists, and then they'll still take your account down. And then recently they've just stopped telling people why.
Yeah, that's the new thing, and like it's really their prerogative, which is kind of fucked up. But if you break the terms of service, they can say you broke it for whatever reason, and they don't really have to give you your account back.
Right.
And with Twitter, if you make a backup account, that's technically an illegal or against the terms of service. You're not supposed to have multiple accounts.
Oh.
So if you get banned off Twitter, and then you make another account, and you're like, okay, delete it at 145,000. Like that's just more ammo for them to delete you again because it's against the terms of service to have multiple accounts promoting the same thing. So I don't know
why somebody writes delete it at 140,000. Just be like because that's in their head.
No, because they want people to be like, it's not a 1,000-follower account.
Yeah.
I had this many followers,
and I'm real.
So I don't know. For me, I have 2 accounts on Twitter. One is to promote my sex doll. One is to promote me. And I very clearly state this is an account promoting the sex doll modeled after Lexi Luna XOXO, which is my Twitter handle. And
crush it. I don't even need to be here.
Shameless plugs,
You just like Bill Burr's got his own thing. Just do your own podcast. I don't even need to be here.
And the other account is my actual porn account, which I've had since 2016. So it's really just a matter of following the terms of service to the T, and if you're making a backup account for your main Twitter, then you're just breaking the terms, and you can get both of those accounts deleted.
And then also, if you make a backup account, then you can't get verified because you can find another you, right?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I've not been verified, and I've tried many times.
It's crazy.
And they just keep fucking denying.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's talk about the sex doll.
Okay.
I don't know how does this process take place? How far are you into it? And then, what do I get? Tell me the whole thing. I don't know how to start.
Okay, so the sex doll is released. We started this in, April of 2020, so like during the pandemic, height of the pandemic. Yeah. A company reached out to me, Sex Doll Canada, and they partner with WM Doll in China, and basically I went to the studio to get 3D scanned.
Okay.
So there were.
Oh, you didn't have to get molded.
No, because shipping the molds to China, it's very likely that they'll break.
Yeah.
So we decided to go with the 3D scan
and
instead
it's smarter.
Yeah, it's technology.
They got to figure it out. It's like how long ago the hologram of Tupac? We're good. Yeah.
So there were like 150 cameras, DSLRs, in this cage, and you stand in the cage, and they all like turn on, and it's like this it looks like 100 bats are looking at you.
Yeah.
And just like look at you at once. And so they turn off all the
Did
lights.
you get camera shy? Because there's too many. Like, what's the number of the?
No, what's the number of cameras in your face? That yeah. So you stand.
After 40, I get uncomfortable.
You stand in the cage and you do the facial expression that you want the doll to have because that's kind of what it's gonna be. So I kind of did this like face.
Yeah.
And
because you can't close your mouth.
no, right, because the dick's got to go
has
in
to
there.
be. Thank you for explaining it.
And it's kind of
because the dick
yeah
has to go in
It
there.
has to go in there. So they take an image at the same time and then they put it into the computer and the computer creates a composite image and it's basically a full 360 view of you.
Once you get that, do you see the thing, and then do you get the opportunity to like be like, hey, that's not. I don't want my like armpit to look like that or whatever. Like, do you get that?
Not really because
it's
you're more standing like you're standing like the doll would stand.
Yeah.
So it's not like an awkward weird thing.
And they can't fuck it up because it's a picture.
Right. And so that's like the general image they use to kind of create the negative mold of the doll.
Yeah.
And then you can go in and, adjust certain things. And it's like, okay, well, the picture didn't really transfer the image the way that
Move your belly button up 3 inches.
Yeah, different things like that. It's like, oh, this boob looks bigger, but that's just maybe because I was slightly shifted towards the camera this way. So there were a little bit of adjustments that were made through that. And then we just went through different models and every time we would make an adjustment, and you're communicating with the WM doll in China, so there's a little bit of a language barrier.
Sure.
So sometimes I would go into Photoshop and like circle things and move and show them how to make the adjustment. And now this doll looks very much like me.
Yeah.
And I'm very pleased with it. I think that it looks fantastic.
How many other people are part of your I don't know, your cell of? How many other people have a doll in the same company?
In the same company, none. Real Doll is probably the biggest competitor, and Real Doll has stars like Stormy Daniels, Asa Akira.
But you're the lead spokesperson for this whole thing.
For this particular company,
Yeah.
I'm the only porn star they have.
Did you get to feel like, well, what do they make otherwise? They just make.
They make sex dolls of just generic sex dolls.
Did you get to feel Did you get to decide what your skin like?
No, it's all TPE material. It's all TPE material, and it's basically I got to tell them my breast size, and then they made that size of breast. So it wasn't like I got to decide how soft or firm it was.
Do you have one?
I have one. I'm going to be getting a second one soon.
Is it when you put it next to you?
It is my height.
Exactly.
It looks just like me, and that's one of the unique things about it is it does weigh 117 pounds, so it is.
Right?
It's a little bit less than my weight, but obviously, they take some of the weight out of the legs and knees and stuff like that, so that you can transport her.
Yeah. Because I don't want anybody to get hurt. Also,
because that's a lot of weight to lift on your own. Like, you're fucking this thing.
Yeah,
you have to move her around.
Yeah.
She's got a steel skeleton.
I'm 39. I haven't tried to do standing 69 in a long time. I don't know if I still got it. You know what I mean?
Well, you can put her on her head or just pop her head off. And put her
that
on
was
the
one
neck.
of my moves. That was one of my early sex moves to impress people. Was the standing 69. I flip you over and I was like, yeah.
The thing that really impresses girls is you being able to successfully make them come with your tongue. That's the real impressive part. So don't worry about the crazy acts. Just worry about being really good at your thing.
That's fair. I'm trying to think what other weird sex doll questions to ask you.
Let me tell you some things. Let me guide you in this because I've recently done my very first porno with the doll.
You did.
I did a custom video for a fan, and Lucas Frost, who is a fantastic male performer, came over and basically helped me fuck this doll. But there was this voiceover part where I'm talking as though I'm trapped in the doll.
Yeah.
And then when he comes inside me, I come to life. And then I'm Lexi Luna. So the doll, the thing that is very strange is when you fuck her mouth, her eyes bulge because, Lucas is very well endowed.
There's only so much material.
There's only so much space in that skull.
Right.
And, it's a tube in the mouth, so you're fucking her and her eyes go... And it's kind of creepy, but it's also really comical because, of course, that's what's going to happen because it's just TV.
And as people start to use the thing, that'll become part of what's
that's the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reality of I want people to see what this doll looks like when it's actually being fucked. I'm not trying to hide anything from it.
Yeah.
There are sleeves you can put in the vagina so it's easier to clean.
Yeah. We also, by the way, men love to think that our penises can destroy things.
For sure.
It's our favorite thing.
This is very much going to appease that side of you.
I just tore the doll up.
Oh, look, fucked her skull.
Yeah. Her eyes popped out of her head. Her
She
nose.
loved it.
I broke her nose from inside of her head.
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Wait, so this is so you're not on camera at the same time.
No, we're not.
So I already started going to you.
Licking the doll's pussy?
No, thank you. I'm there now.
You're like, now.
Thank you. No, I'm too like the thing that I've been saying recently, which is weird, is like I wish there, like when I'm doing something, I'm like I wish there was another me, so that he could come fuck you on the other side. So that's.
They also have male sex dolls.
For sure, but I'm saying like you stacking you with a bunch of yous seems amazing.
That does seem
especially
pretty
to your
cool.
fans. Just like how many of yous can we get in there?
Yeah.
Am I writing?
Oh, I dig it.
Am I right?
Keep going.
Yeah,
I'm taking mental
I gotta
notes
get
right now.
writing credit on all this.
We'll put written by Dan Frigolette.
Yeah, well, I would love to write one, by the way, because I wrote the show here. Not X-Bix.
Exotica.
What's the Exotica? I
New
don't know why I
Jersey?
can't think of it. Yeah, the award show. The award show that they do in New Jersey. I don't know why I can't think of the name of it. Only when I need words, so I don't have them. Anyway, there was a show, and I wrote the show, and it was so much fun to write that stuff, to write to that. So I do think that would be fun that I could write porn scripts.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a fun way to go.
I can hook you up with some of that.
Are you, by the way, you said before, so you know where your career's going to go. Are you directing? Is that your plan?
Is
that the soft
I don't
launch?
know if it is my plan. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know if I really have that in me. I like coming up with the ideas, but I'm more of like a model coach, I think.
Okay.
Where I help new models learn how to move their bodies and show them how to pose and how to fuck the way that makes their body look like the way that you see veteran porn stars.
Okay, so I'm just starting. I think I'm hot shit. I'm a hot little 4'11" girl.
Right.
I
want to show you how to bend that, like how to arch your back
Yeah.
just the right way and what that feels like in sex, because it's totally different than the way you normally have sex.
Yeah.
And the way you normally have sex isn't camera friendly, you know?
Explain that.
Being able to know when to open up, how to turn onto your side for missionary, all the different ways that makes it easy for producers and directors to work with you, because you kind of understand how your body works and how it moves and where to move so that the camera can see, because you have to think the camera always has to see all the penetration.
Yeah.
And you always want to have your hands doing something, pinching your nipples, rubbing your clit, touching the guy, being involved in the
Don't
scene
let your
fully.
hands be
Yeah,
empty.
like what are these hands that I have?
Interesting.
And it's just those little things that you'll learn it over a couple of years,
Yeah.
but if you can get that head start and really know it from the beginning, I feel like you can really advance your career a lot
And you can
faster.
charge a person for this.
I mean, I guess I could, but I would more probably charge a company to be a model liaison
Got it.
in that capacity.
You're on set, or what would that role look like if you charged a company? You're on set, or you meet with a
I'd
girl
probably be
beforehand?
on set, maybe meet beforehand. I really don't know. I don't think there's really anybody that's doing anything like this right
Turn
now.
your hips. Perfect.
Right.
But that sounds like a director.
Kind of, but the director's also looking at the shot and making
Yeah.
sure the background's good and making sure that the talent are going to be land in the spot that they
Sure.
need to land. There's a lot more going on, and it's also a lot easier for a female to tell another female,
Sure.
hey, if you just do this, it helps a lot more, and it's far less comfortable, but it's gonna,
Yeah.
this is what it's supposed to feel like. Because having a male director tell you,
Right.
oh honey, can't you just open up your leg a little bit more? Like,
Right.
no, she really can't.
Right. Right.
And there are companies that have model liaisons in that capacity, but they're more for making sure that the consent is there and that type of thing. Not so much about teaching the model how to pose her body.
Okay. Make sure the consent is there. So yeah, there's been some controversies recently with people that were at the beginning of the industry, and people that are new in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
People new in the industry were able to take down some people old in the industry because they're like, I would not do that. The thing on the paper that we said we're doing that.
Right.
Do you think, in the amount of time that you've been in the industry, that clear consent has changed at all, or did you come in at a time when that was like a very important specific thing?
Right. I kind of came in at a time right before clear consent was discussed on camera, recorded,
yeah.
and it was all, everybody signed a checklist, and you went through an actual checklist and talked like, I don't do anal, it's okay if you lick my ass, but don't put anything in my ass,
right.
And all those pieces are really important, but I came into the industry just before that, and I feel like that really started after, like, in and after the pandemic, where a lot of people were like, oh, we've kind of been doing models dirty and not giving due diligence and not making sure that they feel safe on set.
Right.
So I've seen a lot of companies shift towards doing consent checklists, and you're with your male partner and with the director all right there, and you're recording it so everybody has proof that the conversation happened, and if something were to happen later, it's like, well, this is what was agreed to on the consent checklist, even though consent is in the moment. If we say, and at the end they'll say, if at any time during this video you feel like you've said yes to something but you no longer want to do it, it's perfectly fine. Just say something.
What if you do it and it's just not going the way you want?
Yeah, just yell cut.
And you can say,
and everybody makes you feel super safe word, cut, red, whatever.
And then you can't air it.
Right, and they'll edit around that, and we'll have a conversation. We'll stop the filming, and we'll have a conversation about what to do next and where you want to go from here. But I started in an era where that really wasn't super discussed. But I came in at 26, and I was very like, these are my limits, and I will not go past them.
Sure.
Now I know a lot of people didn't have the power to do that, so I feel very fortunate in my age and my ability to say those things.
Well, because the people came in strong off of like self-camming when you got here, or at least that's my perception. I can't speak to that specifically, but that seems to be my perception, and that wasn't what it was before. So then, like, when you're self-camming, you make all the decisions, so then now you're like, okay, no, I'm just not comfortable with that. And then before it was like, well, you don't want to do that, then we'll just find another girl.
Right.
And so...
it was a little bit of like a threat, like, oh, well, if you don't want to do it, we'll just find somebody else.
Somebody will do it.
And that's not really the way it goes anymore.
Yeah.
Not in the big companies. I know that these type of non-consensual things still happen in the like person-to-person interaction, peer-to-peer.
Well, let me go a step further. And this bothered me. I was doing an interview recently, and they pitched me as a person who might have a podcast about porn, and these men who are older than me were like convinced that porn is linked to like sex trafficking, and I could not explain to them how not much that represents porn now, and that was frustrating for me, because, and then that's what I feel like there's still some old ideas around about coercion and about like this lack of consent, and so it's like I think a lot of weirdly enough, sex positivity in the non-porn space doesn't cross over, because for some reason they think that like if you're sex positive like in the streets, that's different than what's happening in porn, and I don't know how to bridge these spaces. And this has been a thing for me that I'm trying to understand, because like with people being sex positive and open, somehow porn is getting missed.
And I think that has a lot to do with certain New York Times articles that have been written about how Pornhub is the problem, right?
Is that right? I didn't see that.
There's an article in the New York Times I'll tell you about when we're done here.
Yeah.
And
so now that's 3 problematic New York Times articles recently.
Oh yeah, New York Times is a problem.
The one that I had with Polly, I saw another one that was about Findom. It wasn't about Findom. It was a girl selling pictures of her feet, and God bless her. But that's not Findom.
That's not Findom.
And then whatever the Pornhub one. So no one is informed, and no one is
and no one is asking us to be
Sure.
They're not trying to find the information.
Sure.
They're just making it. They're finding people in the industry who've either left the industry in a poor way, where they were not happy and they didn't like what happened.
Right.
So of course they're not going to say positive things about the industry.
Right.
But they're also not reaching out to the heavy hitters in the industry to get a statement or to get any kind of insight. They're not actually doing the journalistic work. They're just making assumptions based on people's poor experiences. And you can find a poor experience in any industry. It's not just us. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, are you going to do your due diligence? Or are you just going to take the easy route and write this article and bash us because, you've got different religious organizations who are willing to support you?
We are still a very, very puritanical place. It kind of blows my mind, yeah. I've lost gigs because of sitting on a couch talking to a porn star.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. They're like, do you do porn? I'm like, no, and I explain the thing, and they're like, well, we can't have you. And it's like, it's a very strange, but I get it. I get that that's a thing that still controls our country, and to think that it doesn't.
I mean, it's still really controlling the world. Spain just recently is recriminalizing sex work.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what are hot places to film outside of the U.S.?
Never done it.
Never.
I wouldn't do it. It's
You wouldn't
not
do it?
worth it to me. It's not worth potentially getting caught. I don't know what the laws are in other countries regarding that kind of thing, and I don't want to end up in jail in another country and have to deal with all that mess. It's just not worth it. There was an article I read about girls, I think in Dubai, taking nude photos on their balcony with the Dubai landscape.
It's a scary place.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
scary.
don't. It's not worth the fucking
photo. You
photo.
have to get a license to drink alcohol. That's a scary place.
Yeah, like if I can't walk down the street at the same pace as a man, I do not need to be shooting porn there.
Yeah, that's a scary space. So, what are? It's interesting because I didn't anticipate working this thing so long and seeing people like be so successful because I didn't really realize or understand how the thing works. What are upcoming goals? What's like a middle goal, and then what's like your within reach but like long-term goal right now?
Okay, upcoming goals. I am going to be making my first like full Lexi DVD that I'm going to produce myself.
Great.
It's not necessarily going to be like a full like feature type thing where it's, you know, like moody and all that. It's kind of going to be funny, and I'm just kind of keeping it light, doing a fun project with some friends.
It's a single narrative, or it's broken into chunks?
It'll be an overall narrative, but the scenes won't necessarily like it's not all going to happen like at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll give you some more info when we're done, and it'll be. I'm actually trying to make something for award season regarding it, so I don't want to give the details too much.
Yeah, sure.
And then an upcoming goal. So that's the upcoming goal, and then like the middle goal would be.
Wait, so how long?
That's going to be between now.
Months.
Yeah, in 6 months. And then the middle goal would be more. Social media presence, more TikTok, doing TikTok. Like I have an account, but I have not ever talked or ticked. I don't know.
Ticked or talked.
I've never ticked nor talked.
That's the cutest I've ever seen. I don't know how restrictive is TikTok.
Pretty, but I also am very aware of that. I've watched all my friends lose their TikTok accounts. Okay. And, you know, I really just want to show my personality more. I want to be more open with my fans. I started out that way, and then I kind of got busy doing scenes and being busy, and OnlyFans and pandemic and everything happened. So I want to get back to the roots and to more just like being my perky, puppy, fun self. And that's what
spelling bee contest.
Do some spelling bee contest. You know, because that's what my fans really fell in love with in the first place, and that's really who I am. Yeah. And I just want to get back into doing more of that stuff. And I want to do it in a way that I can actually present it to people, not just have ideas in my head that'll never come to pass. Right. So I actually physically want to make TikToks, and I want to do more on Instagram and go live more on platforms that are not paid, because that's where I'm going to find my next fans.
Right. And once you figure out your lane, I guess it's a good way to say it.
Yeah, right.
It becomes very easy to like, make that content.
Yes.
Because now you're thinking in that space.
Yeah. And I don't know, right now, I don't know what TikToks will hit. So I'm just going to kind of do a bunch and see what my fans love the most.
And that is what's weird, is like I've watched, you know, comedians and people in your industry try to figure out a thing, and then once something takes hold, you just got to grab onto it and just let it take the ride.
I feel like that happened to me a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, when I decided to really embrace the MILF profile.
Yeah.
Where,
Were you trying to fight it before?
I wasn't trying to fight it. I think I wasn't just really, like, I wasn't exploring it enough.
Yeah.
I had done a few scenes that are MILF-based or, like, old women in charge-based.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really doing a whole lot. And in Exoticas, I would always, like, try to dress in bikinis like the other girls were doing.
Yeah.
And that's just not my look. Like, I'm the one who dresses in pencil skirts and like, MILF tops.
Right.
So once I started doing that, more fans felt comfortable coming up to me because I wasn't dressed in basically nothing. Right. I was dressed like a woman, and I was really portraying the way. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You know, you're going up to this beautiful woman who's wearing 2 pieces of clothing, like they're all like, you know, 5.
They know they're hot. You know they're hot, and who are you?
It's intimidating for sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was avoiding making eye contact with people at the conventions for a couple years, and then like somebody like had to walk into the aisle and be like, Dan, and I and got out of her line. And I was like uncomfortable. And it's like, come hang out. What are you doing?
Yeah,
I'm hard.
The same way.
It's very hard.
I'm the same way, especially around pretty girls. Like it's hard to be like, I don't want to look at your tits, so I don't know where to look.
Yeah.
Like, do I look at your ear? Like, where are we going here? And so I noticed that once I started looking more like the way that I looked in the scenes that they saw me in, they felt a little more comfortable
Yeah.
coming up. And even new fans, like I met far more people because they were like, oh, hi, you're clothed and I feel like I can talk to you in a real way. Not that the girls who are wearing bikinis shouldn't do that. It's
I just think
totally
we don't,
their look.
I think we want to separate a part of it too, because we don't want to show up and be like, I'm going to be creepy at home. I don't want to seem creepy when I show up.
Sure.
And I don't think the performers want to feel crapped on.
Yes.
Either. So it's like I'm gonna hold it together, and I'm gonna go home and be a pervert. Like the way it's supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. Keep your perversions at home. So yeah, that was kind of like the big realization for me, was like, be the thing you are.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to create a second persona. Just be yourself, and people will love you.
And then figure out how to play that thing and then how to market it. Yeah. I mean that's really just the best advice for anybody who's doing anything. Entertainment.
Anything entertainment.
It shows.
It's so hard to make a second persona. Like, I do not have time to be two people.
And it shows.
When
you're not doing real stuff, it shows. And then not even that. It's like if you break for a second, it confuses people, and then they like don't feel like it's real, and then it's
the disingenuous part is really the thing that I always try to stay away from. I like connecting with people, even if it's for a little bit of time on set or whatever it is. I like to take a piece of you with me.
Yeah.
And like even this is like we haven't talked in a while, and like you've been through so much and I've been through so much. Like we've all been through it, and so it's just like getting to reconnect just feels like we're like being friends again, and just being that human piece is really important.
Yes. And again, because of my weird relationship with porn, which has changed, I didn't understand that. And I didn't understand, it's just interesting to see the way people, and the way the thing has evolved, and the way people utilize porn as part of their relationships, part of the things that they
For sure.
like, and then maybe even like from a poly perspective, part of like getting, quenching a thirst that they might not be able to quench otherwise in the world. Those are all important things. You know what's a piece that I didn't realize recently? I don't know if this is important to say I don't know if I should say this. I think there's a lot of people that, I think most people don't get to fuck what they want to fuck. And that's like a big part of who we are as people.
I think so.
And for a myriad of reasons. And so, I was operating under the idea, as an arrogant male, that like I just get to, like everybody that I've been with is just like, because that's how I wanted them. It's like, it's got nothing to do with it. And also, like, the older I get and the more I, like, look mortality in the face, it's like, I'm going to be an old, creepy man at some point.
For sure.
And so, feeding that little thing, and then also, like normalizing it, and, like, shrinking the gap between, like, being able to get something and then not have to be creepy about it is going to, like, make a lot of things better.
Yeah.
And the more we, like, destigmatize porn and normalize it, like, takes out the worst parts on either end. If that makes sense.
That happens with anything you're destigmatizing, right? And once you shine a light on it, like, it's no longer a scary thing.
Yeah, and we're in this fun space where we're finally, like, telling people to, like, accept and have the sex they're supposed to have. Whereas before it was like, and both are still fun. Where you're like having the sex you're not supposed to have is fun. Like, that's what's fun about sex, is that it's like it's wrong.
Yeah,
but then now it's fun that it's right.
Yeah.
And the two are fighting, and I don't know who's gonna win.
I don't think either one has to win. I think they both have a place to exist in the porn. Like, that's the thing about porn. It gives a space for everything, and especially with being able to access porn so much easier these days, you can find your thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And hundreds of girls have done it.
Yeah.
Or hundreds of people have displayed that. And it again takes away but also adds the taboo factor, right?
Yeah.
It takes it away from the society piece, but it also really adds it into your own, like how taboo is taboo for you, it's different for every person.
Right.
So it's one of those things that makes it really, like, once you shine a light on something, it makes it available, accessible, and consensual and sane and happy and a positive experience.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sexy People Podcast. Wherever you're hearing us, we're on The Other Thing. If you're on Google, we're on Apple, etc., etc. Everywhere that you are, we are. And if you switch platforms, we'll be there too. This is the Sexy People Podcast. This is part 1 of my episode with Lexi Luna. Part 2 will come back next week. You can pick up with our chat there. Thank you so much for listening. Please follow her, pay for her porn, and all the things. And we will see you and hear you, and you'll hear us next week for part 2.